is. I'll call the meeting to order. First order of business is minutes from last week, 2 weeks ago, last meeting. I should say.
I didn't have anything. Nice job on the minutes.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I was like, is it dark in here for some reason?
I'll second that motion.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We had non-public as well. I'll make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes of February 14th as presented.
Second that motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Robert, how you doing? Well, welcome.
You could sit over near me, Robert. I'm like, oh.
All right, next order of business is a discussion regarding town meeting, and Robert Weatherall is here to chat with us. We did get your email, which we can read, or we can just go into talking about masks. You'll probably talk about what's in here anyway, so.
Sure. Originally, I thought that one of my rules would be that masks would be required, and then we'd have a maskless section. That's what's printed in the town meeting or annual report, I should say, because that was information was requested a month ago. Since then, just last week, the state of New Hampshire has said they don't recommend wearing masks inside. That goes kind of shocking to hear that. They didn't say it's an option, it should be optional. They said they don't recommend wearing a mask, which was kind of eye-opening. And then since then, on Friday, even the CDC said 70% of Americans need not wear a mask inside. So I think we should move to mask recommended versus required. I was at Market Basket on Sunday with my wife, and there were 150, 200 shoppers, and 6 of them had masks on. So I think that we're gonna find our maskless section in the back corner behind a barrier very, very full. And that would create a logistics nightmare of trying to hear them through that barrier. When I say vote aye, vote nay, that's going to be muffled and it's not going to be accurate. So there are some towns that you have to hold up a voter ID card that lets you vote that way. But we've always used the voice vote and that works well. So I think we should stick with masks recommended and stick to our voice votes if that's the right thing to do for any particular article. There might be times that we move on and change that. We know we do standing of the house or secret ballots when we need to. Yes.
Question, and thank you for the email, the article, I think it was in the newspaper or WWR. Does the school have a policy that has a mandate?
The school board has not met since WMUR and the CDC, or I shouldn't say WMUR, I should say Dr. Chan, our state epidemiologist, and our governor are the ones who put this out. WMUR covered this story. The school board hasn't met since then.
The school board is meeting Sunday, March 6th, prior to the kids going back after vacation. And it's pretty much the consensus of the school board that we will be removing the mask mandate and making it mask optional for the school as well.
If that, and that's where I'm going with this, obviously, if that's not done, and we are renters or guests on that property, we have to follow, I would assume, the mandate of the school board.
That makes sense. It certainly will. I have a meeting tomorrow with Judy, so we can discuss that then too. And it sounds like the school board probably will have an answer before March 8th.
We will.
Even today, on Friday, when they said it, their ruling doesn't affect public transportation. So students would wear on the school bus, they'd have to wear a mask, and then they could take them off when they get to school. Today, they updated that and said school-age children don't need to wear them on buses. So they're really,
Right, and they've directed all the SAUs to, scale back their mask mandates as soon as possible.
Okay, so it looks like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
as Tammy said, on Sunday.
Other than that, our rules are pretty regular. I don't think there's anything new in there other than that.
Do you want to set up a separate section for people with masks? With social distancing and not necessarily roped off, but signed off?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I did put that in the email, but didn't mention it tonight. I think that when we set up the chairs, some part of the chairs could be coupled and distant apart from other chairs, much like last year's was. But I don't think the entire auditorium would be like that. But we would have a section for those that want to be, if they want to wear a mask and be 6 feet from other people, we'll give them that option.
Okay. Because, again, I know that there's still some people that want to take those precautions.
Absolutely.
And the gym's big enough. Again, I think that the masked section will be smaller than the unmasked. But I still think we should provide that as an option.
I agree.
Okay. Then we'll figure it out that day. And there's plenty of chairs, there's plenty of room. Of the signage or whatever. I don't think we need to rope off. I'm not.
I don't think so. I think it'll be clear if half of the gym is set up 2 chairs and then the rest of them are rows.
Yeah.
The people who want to sit beside their spouse or significant other can do that. And
Okay.
the rest will sit probably in the bleachers like they usually do, and then the chair's empty.
I mean, you can social distance in those bleachers too.
That's true.
Whatever. So, all right, do we want to go through the,
I think we should, although I see that it's already noted on here that who's
Well,
speaking to some.
oh, do
Yes.
you?
That is a copy I had made that I had from Tammy, but you guys may have changed something, so
No.
feel free to write on it. That's yours.
Thank you. So it looks like through Article 5 would be voted on during the day?
Correct.
Okay. And Karina, did you have an opportunity to ask about the bond?
I did, and we do not have to have a ballot for them. They don't have to stay open for an hour. So that's
Wonderful.
why we pushed them back a little bit, so we didn't have to get
Oh,
them
oh,
out.
on the bond.
Thank you so much, Richard.
portions?
Yeah, no,
Because
that
we're
was
receiving
great.
money versus asking for it. I didn't think we had to go through the normal bond process, and that's correct.
Okay.
We have confirmation of that.
Yes.
Thank you for checking.
No, that was great. Thanks for bringing it up because we would have sat there for an hour for no reason.
And I guess on my sheet, that's not noted who might speak about Article 7, 8, and 9.
Article 7, is that the conceptual design?
Yes, that's
That's
Tammy.
Tamara. And then 8 and 9 are the veterans tax credit, the disability credit.
8 is levy unused. And
Oh, okay. So I
Oh,
have- I
no,
have an
that's
old-
an old one.
Oh.
That's me. Oh, sorry.
that's okay.
I have the old one.
I have the old,
Well,
with numbers crossed out, but I.
Yeah, the next one, the Article 8.
Okay.
Here.
No, I'm good.
Which one is it?
Yes, what's on the town
As long as I
website?
have
That's
the
correct.
actual sound.
Okay, that's what I have.
They-
Oh,
yeah,
That's what I have.
Okay.
And that's your hand.
I am, yes.
Perfect.
So 8 and 9 are the two tax credit,
Yes, they are.
those are both me. And then the next one is the levy.
No.
Modify it.
Elderly
exemption.
Oh, sorry, that's me too. There's 3 tax credit.
There's 3 tax credits.
credit
Yep.
ones.
And then followed with sidewalk. Unused bonds.
Article 11.
Those are the bond ones, the return of the bond funds. Those are me.
Okay. Yeah, Tamara does all of those.
Have a reserve for public works vehicle.
I think Jack's doing all the capital reserves. right?
Perfect. Article 28 is highway block grant program.
Second. I'm doing that.
police cruiser?
I think I was doing that, correct?
I have myself down, but either one.
Okay, nope, that's fine. Go for it. I will let you.
Deed restriction?
I think Jack was doing that.
Correct.
29, I'm doing too.
Nope, you're doing,
30.
OJ's doing 29, the police cruiser,
Oh.
cruiser, you're doing 30, deed restriction.
Article 31, I might recommend that we at least recognize Carol Riley, who didn't seek re-election as a supervisor of the checklist after, I'll say years, but perhaps decades.
I didn't realize she's not running.
She's not.
Know that. Is someone running?
Yes, Susan Chenard is on the ballot.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, and then is there anything about during the day that we need to talk about as far as?
Are there plans for Carol to be there during the day, or should I tune up on some of these articles in case there are questions?
Typically Carol's at the election to talk about those 3 planning board articles on here.
Then she will be at the elections.
Yeah, I.
Great, thank you.
think-
She's certainly the expert if there are
Yeah,
questions.
absolutely, yeah.
I'm sure she'd be more than willing to do that.
Yeah, and she's good at making maps and signs and whatever else is helpful to the articles in question. And then for people coming in to vote, is there gonna be any procedures relating to people with masks and without masks, or?
I think if people come with masks and they want to social distance, we can afford them that opportunity by moving people around, but I don't think we need separate sections.
Okay, I don't either. I just didn't know how, would people come in with a mask if they wanted, or were concerned about the ballot clerks? Do we still have the plastic?
Yes.
We certainly do.
And do you think that that's gonna be used for the town election?
I don't see why we can't use it.
I think the workers planned on using them.
Perfect.
Okay,
I haven't spoken with the ballot clerks. I do know it's tough to hear through that,
yeah,
but it is that extra layer of protection. So
right. So that's all the questions I had. I plan to be there all day.
excellent.
You're gonna,
I'll be there part of the day.
Okay,
I'll be there all day.
perfect. Okay. At
so,
least 2 of you overlapping at all times is a great thing.
yeah.
It keeps us in line with rules of the elections. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Nope,
Okay.
think we'll be done in an hour.
Yes, I think we will.
Unless he has questions.
There's a lot of capital reserve articles.
There are.
There's all of those returning the bond proceeds articles, and then there's the exemption articles,
And the RFQ for the building,
building, right?
Yeah,
gonna be,
Yeah,
I think the RFQ is going to take some time. And the one on the piece of property there that the Kank, that'll take some time. I don't think the returning of the bond funds is going to be, they're all kind of a no-brainer. So,
Pretty good now. God, I wish I had one of those. Sorry.
That's all right.
Anything
Great.
else?
I don't think so.
All right, we're
We'll
good.
see you
Then we'll
Tuesday.
See you a week from
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Robert, thanks for coming in.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Roger, how you doing?
Roger. Roger, and see you sneaking.
All right, next on the agenda is town manager's report.
okay. Got a couple things to update you on. The first is the landings alteration of terrain permit. This is more for informational purposes, but I figured that the board should be aware. Similar to what happened with the development at South Peak, we're now seeing some permits trickle in for the second phase of the landing. It's literally, they're the first of, this phase. So in doing so, we have reviewed the original AOT for that development. And in the original AOT, it says that essentially each lot has to mitigate its own stormwater runoff to net zero, essentially, which is pretty cumbersome on the individual property owners.
To the 50-year storm.
To the 50-year storm, correct.
10 to 50.
So it's definitely going to be a hurdle for certain developers and certain property owners. But we had a little powwow, Ron, Carol, myself, Ray, and we feel that to be consistent with how we treated the South Peak development, that we have to continue and move forward. And essentially, it's going to require each individual owner to go through the stormwater management ordinance and get the escrow agreement. And it's going to be more detailed and, like I said, more cumbersome for each individual applicant, but for consistency's sake, I think we have to move forward as we did with South Peak.
Was it last week or 2 weeks ago, weren't there a number of items there where they were merging lots over there?
They were, and so we definitely discussed that as well. And with the merger of the lots, it's obviously a lot easier to
Right.
then. So we are hoping, the goal was, Ray had drafted a memo similar to the memo that you received. He sent it to Joe Lynch, who I believe is the developer
Yeah.
and his engineers. So they are 100% aware of the criteria. And, essentially we talked about if they had in their thought process to merge the lots, it would definitely be beneficial for all parties if they did so. Because it's definitely easier for them when they have more acreage.
It gives them more area to put in the infrastructure needed to support meeting the goals of that AOT.
And just to bring up a point, there's a difference between the AOT and our Stormwater Management Act.
Correct.
If you look at our Stormwater Management Act, it says the trigger is when they hit the 50%. And if they're merging these lots, they might get to a point where they're not triggering the Stormwater Management Act. However, they're still gonna trigger the AOT
Exactly.
requirement to put it, so just as a.
That was pointed out, and Ray
Okay.
pointed out to the developer and to their
Okay.
engineers that whichever is more stringent is what we are following.
Right, okay. Perfect. And it is gonna be hard. I mean,
It's gonna be hard,
those lots are pretty small.
half acre, yeah, and steep,
30 degrees. Some of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are,
yeah.
like that.
I'm guessing some of those ones that have built over there did not do stormwater management because they were built before we had that
before we had.
ordinance. Did they
Well-
comply with the AOT?
Well, we're still in hopes to get the phase 1
Right.
AOT. We cannot find a copy of the phase 1,
Oh.
but the phase 2 we have, and the phase 2 is what's the Donovan lot at the end of Act 40, and then the upper portion of
Buck.
Act 40, the uphill side of all of Act 40, and the uphill side of Buck Road.
Yeah.
So there's probably 1 or 2 homes, at least one that was probably put in prior to us realizing, it was probably predated the stormwater.
Right.
But hopefully, we're gonna have that first phase soon, so we know exactly. I think the first phase is less restrictive because it's more down at the bottom of the landing.
Yeah, ladder.
Okay.
So that's landing, okay. South Peak Water Tank, so Sam Kenny spoke with the Forest Service on Friday. and confirmed that the district ranger is still very much in favor of hopefully getting our project on the fall projects list. We still need to iron out some of the fine details regarding whether a temporary construction easement is valid, or are they going to require a permanent easement going into it. We think that maybe the best plan of attack would be to get the Forest Service, the Board of Selectmen, Mark Bogosian, and Sam Kenny all in a room together so we can address some of these concerns and we all can hear it from the horse's mouth, the timeline and what can be expected of us. So Sam was putting some dates together and I'll probably forward them to you within the next few days.
Excellent.
To get something on the docket. The Forest Service did ask for all of Mr. Bogosian's information. I think that's fine to give them to it. I mean, they said that they have no plans to contact him. They just want to know all the players who are involved. So we forwarded that to them this morning. So, but like I said, I think it's probably best if we all meet in the same room so everyone's aware of what the steps are going to be moving forward.
So it's definitely good to try to get it on the spring.
Yeah,
Definitely.
spring's close, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Fall.
No, the spring list, he said, is it,
Yeah, I
It's
said it's
definitely too
good
late.
to get it on
Yeah.
the
I
spring.
didn't-
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that was our original.
that was the original goal. But we would like to get the meeting, with the big
ASAP,
players
yeah.
ASAP, exactly. So I will forward you some dates and times in the next few days. Lost revenue, ARPA funds. So the first reporting, they call it quarterly reporting, but they've extended it so many times. So the first reporting period for the ARPA funds is in April. With the new guidance from, the feds on how the money can be spent, I just want to confirm with the board that we think our best avenue is accepting it as lost revenue. The reason for doing that is the reporting criteria is going to be much more simplified than if we put in a project for water and sewer, or if we put in a project for broadband. Essentially, every community is allowed to have 10 million of lost revenue. There's no backup documentation. We don't need to prove anything. Essentially, it's the standard stipend, I guess, or the standard stipend's not the right word. but-
Donation.
Allotments.
It's the standard allotment that
Payback,
every community is essentially
It's our-
allowed to claim.
Our
It's the
tax
10
dollars
million.
coming back.
Exactly.
So let's pay back.
So essentially, from the webinars that I've attended and what NHMA is saying is essentially accepting it as lost revenue kind of cleans it from all its federalness. And you don't necessarily need to do the quarterly reporting in the same fashion as you would if you were going to do a water and sewer project or a broadband project or another project that meets one of the criteria for the projects. So I would recommend to the board that we accept it as lost revenue because I just think it's going to be a lot easier moving forward. I mean, we'll still have to do reporting, but it would be much more a simplified version of so.
Want a motion to that effect?
Sure.
So, Mr. Chairman.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We also received a new, oh, go ahead.
Just, we were talking about ARPA funds.
Yes.
There is a webinar on March 4th at 11 o'clock.
I'm already signed that.
Well, just so people know what they're talking about. Yeah. New Hampshire Municipal Association and the Office of Congressman Custer. There is a webinar looking at the new funding sources related to ARPA and other funds that might come along. So excellent. I just
I'm
want to
already
make
signed
sure
up.
that we
We
listen to
are,
that.
we're in, absolutely. I will say too, and I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, or I don't want to, jinx ourselves, but I do know that there has definitely been talk with the governor in regards to the state's ARPA funds and maybe creating a program for public safety buildings.
Oh, really?
Sweet. So just an FYI.
Okay.
CMP contracts, so Comfort, Nieder and Perkins, they're our assessing firm. We have to enter into a new 5-year revow contract with them.
Yeah.
Jonna and I discussed it, and unfortunately, CMP is great to work with, but they historically cannot perform and meet their deadlines when it comes to the revow. I've spoken to DRA in regards to their contract. They always review the contract and look at it and kind of give it their blessing. And they did say that we have the opportunity, if we chose to increase the late fee penalty from $50 a day to $100 a day. Jonna and I recommend doing so and communicating that to CNP. We feel as if it kind of holds their feet to the flame a little bit more. $50 a day for a 30-day, it's $1,500. It's not really anything that's no real incentive to them to make sure we get it by the November 1 deadline. So I would propose that we amend the contract to the $100 a day penalty and hope, in the hopes that, this next time in 2026, they can meet that November 1 deadline.
Is there a limitation on the amount that DRA would look upon favorably?
To be honest, I don't know the answer to that question. They did communicate to me that most communities have the $100 a day penalty.
And why not go to 500?
I don't know. I mean, we could quite possibly
I mean,
propose.
that drives people, 150, what's the cost of their contract last time?
I mean, it's over the 5-year period of time, but it's, $70,000 the year of the reval, I think it is. I think it's 35 leaving up to it or something.
Yeah, so I mean, that's pittance at $50 or $100 a day. I'd rather see go up to 500 and hold their feet to the fire.
I can ask DRA what the threshold is or what they
I mean-
see.
Go ahead. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. Let's,
Yeah.
I think higher is obviously more an incentive.
Yeah.
I just want it to go through DRA without
Right,
without
without-
pushback or
Exactly.
You
No,
know,
that's why.
from them. But if they say, well, no, you can't do 500, but you can do 200, then I'm for 200.
Okay.
If you can do 500.
Is there a deadline? Is there a deadline on when we have to have this contract signed?
It doesn't state so. But we probably want to do it, within the next few weeks here because as we all know, the tax year starts on April 1. So
Right.
essentially
Right.
April 1. So I imagine that April 1 date, whether it says so or not, is probably where we want our goal to reach it, to get it, squared away before April 1. So they can start 2022 fresh and they know,
So we're fine waiting another week to get another opinion and
Answer from DRA.
great, thank you.
look into that and report. Awesome. Okay, so I'm not gonna have you sign off on this yet. Okay. All right, the DES Energy Improvements Grant. If you remember a few meetings ago back, I informed you that we applied for a grant through DES for energy improvements. We were denied, unfortunately. But we still have the $40,000 rebate from NHUC that can be used for improvements. So we are kind of taking the energy audit and sifting through it and trying to prioritize what projects, should take precedent and what projects maybe could hold off. And to start, I guess allocating some of that $40,000 to projects.
Is this the audit that was done, that Nate did with his public works buildings? Okay, thank you.
I think it was specifically for the wastewater treatment plant because it was a DES grant for the water.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
When do we have to spend that $40,000 in order to get it rebated?
To be honest, I don't know. I have the contract on my desk. I can find that out and make sure that we just follow through with that.
Okay. I assume it's like either all or much of this calendar year.
Yeah.
This isn't anything we have to do like immediately.
No.
But we should be making decisions sooner than later, because if it's gonna be a summer project, Nate needs to get that, even though we get reimbursed for it, we need to line it up and.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. With the way, with the timeline for things nowadays, everything's taking a little bit longer than we
get
want it to. Right.
Yeah, okay.
I'll look into that. Okay. Just as a update for you all, because I'm on the Grafton County Broadband Committee. The committee is going in front of the commissioners in the next 2 weeks here, and we are asking for our third and fourth funding request from the county out of their $17 million ARPA funds. This would be for detailed level designs, which is essentially all your pole applications, all your pole licenses. It's going to be from the cable lines on the poles direct to homes and businesses. It would be a high level design that we can essentially package and give to every single community. The scare that the county has, or the county committee is if we build this $30 million backbone and no one connects to it, why did we build this $30 million backbone? If communities don't have the resources or the funds to do this themselves, if we could give them a prepackaged design and a prepackaged cost estimate and get them to the 1 yard line, we're hoping that as many communities as we can will actually take it across the goal. So Lincoln's estimated design package is just under $63,000, 62,818 is essentially what the town of Lincoln will be gifted from the county to help accomplish any projects that we would want to do in the future.
So the county will do the design work. And then are you saying that that value is $63,000?
Yeah, Lincoln's estimate to do, so essentially, right here in front of me. It's behind here, that's why. So essentially, they're estimating that to build out the town of Lincoln as a whole, it's going to take 225,000 feet of fiber. Plus the pole licensing agreements, the permit applications, the essentially shovel-ready design would cost, if we were to go put it out to bid from someone else, $63,000. So that's being included in the committee's request for the county to pay for as a whole for every single community in Grafton County, 39 communities. Total price is $3.3 million.
So there's no burden on the taxpayer.
No burden on the taxpayers, no burden. Essentially, this would be, if approved by the county commissioners, would be a gift from the county to the town of Lincoln to essentially put them on one step forward if we were ever to build out cable or fiber optic cable or high-speed internet throughout the town. So, again, just an FYI. Next thing is I just wanted to let you know that the Chenard letter went out last week to confirm our inspection date in April and also to notify the owner of the $50 day penalty. Tax collector position. So Lisa has started training with Sandy's on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the tax collector positions. I've spoken with Carol and also Ryan Fairbrother regarding some redistribution of roles and responsibilities. We're still very much so in the beginning, kind of initial figuring it out stage, but I hope to have something more formal to present to you in the next couple of weeks. So perfect how things are going. And then are we going to meet next Monday? Do we traditionally meet the Monday before the town meeting on Tuesday?
We have in the past. Typically, it tends to be a shorter meeting.
I just didn't
Yeah.
know, so I just figured I would throw it out there.
I leave it to the voice of experience,
Yeah.
even though I'm older than you. but-
Okay. I would say we still meet and light agenda unless anything comes up, but sure, we'll meet before.
Yeah, you may have an answer back from DRA. Like Tammy said, let's get it done sooner than later.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing I have, well, I guess I'm lying, not the last thing. Something that we talked about earlier this evening was the mask requirement and the mask mandate that the town of Lincoln currently has on all the town buildings. I think it would behoove us to move towards a recommendation and not a mandate, seeing as how the state is changing their tune on masks indoors. But obviously, it's the Board of Selectmen's decision, but I think it's a conversation that we should probably have this evening.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I think we need to move in that direction.
And we told our staff to see how they feel interaction with the public without masks.
I have not, we've all kind of talked about it a little bit today because of the news last week. I think the consensus is those who are comfortable, are more comfortable wearing masks will continue to wear a mask, and those who are more comfortable not wearing a mask will not wear a mask. I think that the town, as a public entity and not a private entity, as a public building and not a private building, we probably don't want to mandate something that is essentially not enforceable.
Still,
I
I
mean,
mean, you're still gonna have the Lexan at the windows, so you still have a layer
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
of protection anyway.
And we'll still have signs up that say masks recommended. It just won't say masks required. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's fairly easy for people in this building to maintain that distance if they choose to, because like you just said, there's the plastic, up in between the interaction. I'm thinking of other town buildings where that doesn't happen, where there isn't plastic barriers.
Sure.
But again, those employees can choose to wear masks, and social distance,
Mhm.
with however they want to, depending on the building, how they want to set it up. But I think it's time to again, go by what the state basically came out with in the CDC and the state epidemiologist, and not require them, but certainly recommend them. Tim, you have anything to say?
No, I agree. After listening to the governor's and Dr. Chan's remarks last week, I think that's kind of the way the state has to move. So I think you're right. Having them, mask suggested, not required, is probably the direction we need to go in.
You need a vote on that?
We don't, it's just at the direction of the town manager. So she knows how we feel.
Okay. And then the last thing I do have is, I just included, this is a small little brochure. Tammy, you didn't get this, but you've already seen this. This is something that the building committee came up with. This is their selling document for the warrant article regarding the RFQ for the building. These are gonna start being distributed tomorrow, so I just wanted the board to have your eyes on it, so you're not taken aback when you see it for the first time out on the streets. So I just.
And Karina is selling herself short. Karina put this together for the building committee. So thank you, Karina.
No worries. But like I said, before it's out on the streets, I thought you should have your eyes on it.
Yep. No, that's good.
And that's all I have for this evening, I believe.
All right, Jack, did you have anything?
Those, maybe non-public.
I had, one employee just follow up in non-public. But I didn't, Tammy, did you have anything else?
I do. I didn't know if you were aware that the school district meeting has been postponed to March 24th. We had 9 petition warrant articles submitted. 2 of them did not have the required amount of signatures, but 7 of them will go on the ballot. 2 of those 7 require public hearings that we weren't aware of prior to when we had our public hearings. So with one of them, because it includes a tax cap, it has to be a hearing in each town. So Woodstock's is going to be Monday, March 7th at Woodstock Town Hall at 6 p.m. Lincoln's is going to be Wednesday, March 9th, 6 p.m. at the school, the elementary multipurpose room. there's school board meetings, but in each town. And then the district meeting has been rescheduled to March 24th, which is the day before the last day we can have a meeting. So hopefully the sky doesn't fall on that day. And that's all I had. And this Sunday, we're meeting prior to the kids going back to school after vacation to discuss the mask mandate, rescinding the mask mandate. So that's all I had.
No, thank you for that. I was not aware that they've changed that. I hope that gets out.
After vacation week, it's not much happens
Right.
this week at the school, but next week it'll go out and things will happen. So people will know, I assume.
Those petition warrant articles on the school website?
That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't checked. I know the warrant was submitted. So I would assume they would be on the website, but I haven't looked.
Okay. All right, anything else?
No, that's all I had. Thank you.
All right, then I'll open up for public participation. Jim?
Yeah, the pamphlets for the new police and fire station,
Yeah?
are they gonna be inserted in the town books before the town books are handed out by the town crew?
We're picking up the town books tomorrow, and I don't think the plan is for the town crew to deliver them door to door this year, but we are gonna drop them off at the key locations, the community center, the
Lincoln Green.
The Lincoln Green, sorry, yeah, I was like, what is the name of that building? But yes, we're picking them up tomorrow and we are stuffing them as we speak or folding them as we speak, and then we'll stuff them in the reports before they go out the door.
Oh, so they will be in the report.
They will be in the
Oh,
reports.
okay.
But they-
Well,
They've
so
been handed out in the town of Lincoln for years.
What's that?
They've been passed out in the town of Lincoln for years. How come
Yeah,
now? I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people out there not even see this book.
we stopped doing it because of the pandemic. I think in light of, the rescinding of the mask mandate and even the recommendation of masking and the low numbers of COVID and they're dropping, I think we need to go back to delivering them.
Well, I think
And I
that-
know it puts a burden on the Public Works Department. However, I think it's important.
I think at this stage in the game, unfortunately, that's not possible because we didn't order enough to send to every single door.
I just threw out over 100 and close to 30 books from last year, which kills me.
It's because we weren't delivering them. That's why we have extra, but
I asked this year, and that's why I asked before I ordered, and I was told no.
I mean, we can always order more, but it won't be, I don't know if we're gonna, the turnaround time to order more and then the delivery time before next Tuesday, I think is probably not very likely.
hmm.
We can order more, definitely, but to deliver them door to door and have more on order in 7 days is just,
There's no sense in spending money to order if they're not gonna be here before town meeting day.
Right.
Agree with
And
you,
you're supposed
Rick.
to have a certain number of days before the meeting.
tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow, it's
Tomorrow's
on the
the
website
deadline.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we did have that conversation, Jane, you're right. And at the time it was, COVID strong, everybody was sick and when we had to order them, it was still, there was 1 million people that had COVID at the time and 2020 is hindsight and
No, I know. We talked about
yeah,
that before I placed the order. I asked,
right.
and he said no. Just
Yeah.
go by what I'm told.
No, I totally agree. At the time, I didn't think that we would even be able to deliver them, but next year we'll have to plan on, regardless, we'll just order enough to have them delivered. There are some elderly folks in town. I'd like to put out there that if anybody needs one delivered, that we should try hard to make that happen.
oh, absolutely. I think if anyone, it is has transportation issues, they could reach out to us and we can figure out a way to get them a report. Absolutely.
Let's put that on our website once they're here.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Announce that they're here available, where they can pick them up.
Yep.
And if they can't pick them up,
To reach out to
to
the
reach
town.
out and we'll somehow, someone will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can do.
Maybe one of
Thank you for that.
a Boy Scout troop or something like that, make that a community wide project. You know, somebody to see about supervision, transporting them around.
I don't know as I'd go with Boy Scouts because then you're counting on parents and it's just another burden on the parents that they
Well, we'll
are
send it.
already facing with their Boy Scout age kids.
We'll get them as many as public spots as we can.
Yeah.
We'll try to make it as easy as possible.
Save me one, please.
We'll try.
Good, Roger,
How about Forest Ridge? How you standing on that?
with the bonds,
Yeah. You signed off on them or what?
the bond has not been released on that. Is,
So Ray Corber got the as-built, and it was found that they're a little undersized, so waiting on Horizons to run the calculations again to make sure that they're gonna operate as designed.
You say it's not size, I mean, you're talking pipe?
No, the overall size of the pond was a little bit under, so we're just verifying that calculations.
Well, you see that last week, how much water in the river? Out back,
Yeah, a couple of times.
it's up there.
The ponds were at the 2 outflow pipes.
they were?
Yeah.
Okay, and did you see them operating?
Yep.
And?
It was pretty good for a while, but then the ice broke free in that little spillway there and jammed up the tubes or the grate at the community center, and then it overtopped and froze overnight. And Public Works had to scrape and clean up the community center parking lot.
But the two pipes at Forest Ridge,
Yeah, they were just outflowing a little bit. The pond had filled up.
okay, so that means it was working as it was designed,
Yep.
that,
As far as I know.
okay,
And the 4-inch pipe is still working at the lower 4-inch pipe that maintains a certain level.
right.
But we had a fair amount of snow melt and rain in 2 events.
But even before the ice got there, you had a problem with it. They weren't draining down because it was up over the pipe then. You can't blame it on the ice.
The white pipe, the
The
4-inch
big
pipe,
one, yeah, the forest, but there had to be something out of that there, because that wasn't draining down, because it was right up there. It was 2 days after it stopped raining, the water was still there, it wasn't going down.
it could be some ice got into it too.
So I think there's a lot to be decided on that system yet.
It seemed to perform well all last summer though.
How much rain we get last summer? Of course, it's gonna work good when it don't rain.
You don't need an umbrella either.
I don't need an umbrella. My camera takes good pictures even when it's raining.
Jim?
Is there any kind of grant that the town could get to clean that entire brook up? Since I've done what I did by my house, I've had zero problem.
I think that there's a D,
You got a permit, didn't you?
Yeah, and it cost me quite a bit of money to do that section of the brook.
did you get a permit to do it? From DES?
It was a dry brook when I did it, didn't need one.
Oh, from what I understand, it's the permitting.
Yeah, but you know, years ago, when the town used to hire us kids to go work for April vacation,
Mhm.
we'd paddle that brook all the way up through there. And it was water in it then. We just get all the brush out of it.
There's trees in it.
The same thing with the conversion dam here. We used to have to go take all the stuff out of there, and then dump the sand on top. We run it down with the fire hose and wash it into the cracks. I mean, they didn't have to get permits on that.
No, I don't think you need permits to like clean fallen brush.
Oh, that's all
But
we
you're
would-
talking about
Yeah.
moving rocks and creating a channel.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Just clean it out.
it's cleaning it out. I mean, when you're in there, there's only rocks that big. You get a little teeny backhoe in there, just have to go push things around, it don't turn. There's no water in it then.
We can have that conversation, we can't break the law.
No.
I don't know what's allowed, and I'm not an expert at this,
Right.
but if there's something we can do, I mean, would certainly be in favor of it, but I'm not sure what the limits on that are.
I'm not sure either.
Another thing, on the taxes here, I have a problem with my taxes, and I called to the assessors and I talked to them, I filled all the paperwork out. I never heard nothing back.
So the deadline for abatements was today, or tomorrow, it's March 1st, excuse me. The town has until July 1 to render a decision legally through the formal abatement process. At that time, any sort of rebate that happens, if they decide to lower the assessment and you overpaid, whatever you overpaid will be returned to you with 6% interest.
When do we get that information?
July 1 is the deadline for that.
I thought, like Roger said, I thought that the company was CNP with whom you had the hearing, I believe.
Yeah.
And my
I talked to
neighbors,
the girl down here, and
Yeah, and I think she recommended that he fill out the formal abatement form, because I'm pretty sure I have it on my desk in a folder. I have all the abatements on my folder.
For Rogers property?
For Rogers property,
Okay.
yeah.
because I put in for an abatement, as did my next door neighbor. We never heard anything either.
Like a formal abatement, Jack?
We had the conversation with them online and the whole bit.
I think that's different. So I think when, before the reval was formalized, we had that extra day where people could call. We coordinated with
Yeah.
CNP and we had the extra day for people to call. What CNP told me is that they were directing people to fill out the formal abatement forms to then be considered through the formal abatement process if they didn't already reduce it or have a conversation with them in regards to their abatement.
What I was told by the gentleman, and I've got his name in my file, was that he would render a decision and get back to me. I still haven't heard from him.
that's what the lady said I was talking to, because I filled all the thing out. And I had an appointment to talk to her at 4 o'clock. She called me and we talked, and she said, I'd be notified.
Yeah, because they had a specific form you filled out with
Yeah.
pictures, reasons, comparabilities, the whole bit,
Did all that.
Yeah,
which I did, and they never gotten back. to
they
me.
might have it, they might have not filtered that through to the town. They might have their own stack of formal abatements at CNP that they're collecting on themselves, and then some of them are coming through the town hall, whether someone dropped it off or whatnot, because I have about 15 on my desk right now, essentially, for the ones that filtered through the office. So they may have additional. I can look into that, see if they have, another
Yep.
15 on their end.
Yeah, I'd look into that, and just
Yeah.
get a number from them, where, what they have that we have not seen yet. And the ones that are on your desk, are they, has CNP rendered a recommendation on those yet? No.
No, but they definitely are working on them. I've been scanning them as they come in and sending them to them in chunks. And they did reach out last week and said that they were finalizing some of them. So we should have decisions before July 1, but legally, we don't have to have a decision until July 1.
Okay.
Yeah. But the hope is we'll have it much sooner than that. We don't want to pay the interest if we don't have to.
Right.
All right, I can look into that.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, Lower Black Mountain Road. The drainage on it, is that gonna get taken care of? I think Nate told me it was, but is that all of Lower Black Mountain Road? The drainage gonna be taken care of this year?
Paul, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I spoke with Nate this morning because the gentleman, Mr. O'Brien, that lives right where that ice buildup is on the road. And Nate said that it is on his project list for the spring ball. He didn't say, nor did I ask, to what extent the drainage ditch was, but he said he would be able to alleviate the issue as it stands now. And the issue obviously is water running down into the street, freezing and ice buildup. And I thank Nate because I use that road literally daily, daily. And it means that, they had to scrape it 3 or 4 times. They sanded it very, very well. Unlike the other portion of Black Mountain Road that wasn't sanded by the private contractor. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding.
Did you go off the road, Jack?
You did a great job. No, but that's what Nate said this morning, Paul, that it's on his spring project list.
He said the same thing to me too, Paul, so.
Okay, yeah, because it's at the bottom of there. It goes from like Gessner's up to 2 houses up. I can't remember what her name is. Frank and Jean Bills.
Frank and
Jean Bills.
and Mr. O'Brien, Mike and Denise O'Brien. It's their.
Right.
Really
Yeah.
stuff there.
Yeah. All right, that's fine. I just wanted to know if that was on, going to be on the list. That's all I have.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we go into non-public. Oh, sorry, Jim.
Your ice problem with Black Mountain Road, is that right in front of that big log cabin?
No, it's not, Jim. It's further down towards,
So, okay.
it's on the town portion of the roadway. It's
All right,
not,
'cause my understanding that big log cabin has a heated driveway
he does,
and
he
it's
does.
gonna create ice in the road.
No, it's not that at
It's not
all.
that, okay, I
Yeah.
thought that's, because I know for years that was a ice problem right there.
Yes, no, not there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion when, I wanted to talk about a personnel issue.
Okay.
Is there any other reason to go into non-public? Then it'll be for a single personnel issue, update, I'll call it, personnel update. Want a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for